Back in session in cause number 324160. The case is style of State of Texas versus Cleavon Demetrius Buxton. We have Mr. Buxton, who is appearing in court with his attorneys. Sitting first chair is Mr. Corey Crenshaw, and sitting second chair is Mr. Jansen Bailey. We also have present the State Assistant District Attorneys. Sitting first chair is Ms. Julie Maxis. Sitting second chair is Mr. Raymond Shearer. Let the record reflect that the jury is not present in the courtroom. State, are you ready to proceed?
The state's ready, Your Honor.
Defense, are you ready to proceed?
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Bailiff, would you please get the jury? You may be seated. Let the record reflect that the jury is now present in the courtroom. We have present Mr. Buxton and his two attorneys, Mr. Corey Crenshaw and Mr. Jansen Bailey. And we also have present the State Assistant District Attorney, Ms. Julie Maxey, and Mr. Raymond Shearer. Now, the court is back in session after being on a recess since August 5th of 2021. Today's date is September 7th of 2021. And the reason for the break is because the court, because of the COVID protocols that we have in place in Jefferson County. And we took precautions regarding the COVID virus and the safety of all individuals who involved in this case is of the utmost importance to this court. State, you ready to proceed? And defense, you're ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
And
Yes, sir.
okay, and when we ended last time, the state has rested, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. And so this time, we'll now turn it over to the defense. Mr. Crenshaw, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. We'll call Justin Richardson.
Okay, Mr. Richardson, would you stand right there, raise your right hand, and our court reporter will swear you in.
All those words of testimony you're about to receive the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Okay, Mr. Richardson, you may have a seat. Mr. Crenshaw, you may proceed.
Your Honor, may I proceed from counsel table? Is that okay?
That's fine.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record, sir.
Justin Richardson,
Mr. Richardson, how old are you?
42,
And where do you reside?
Beaumont, Texas.
Tell the jury what you do for a living.
I work for the Federal Bureau of Prisons as a cook farmer.
All right. And how long have you lived in this area?
Most of all my life, except for the times where I was employed overseas or sent out to go do various different things overseas.
All right. Were you in the military?
Yes.
Well, thank you for your service, sir. I'd like to ask you, how do you know the defendant in this case, Cleveland Buxton?
I've been knowing him all his life. My older sister is his older sister.
All right. And so your half sister and his half sister are sisters.
Yeah, well, our sister.
Okay. All right. So you're not related to him by blood, but you consider him to be a brother?
Right, yes.
I got you. I'd like to take you back to June of 2019 on the night of June 29th. Do you remember that night?
Yes.
Were you with Cleveland that night?
Yes.
Will you tell the jury how that night started off?
Just started off normal stuff, hanging out, and then we decided to step out and go out, and then we went to a sports bar.
All right. And do you recall about what time you went to the sports bar?
It was around about 9:30, 10-ish, around up there.
Got you. And do you recall the name of the sports bar?
Earl's.
All right. And is that in Beaumont or where's that at?
Yes, Beaumont on College Street.
All right. And at that time, were you living in the same house that you live in now?
No, at that time I was living off of McLean over there by the Amelia area.
Gotcha. Okay. And so back in 2019, you were living off of McLean, and when y'all left your house to go to Earl's, who drove?
I did,
All right. And what car did you drive?
in mine.
Okay. And who all was with you?
Me, Cleveland, and Alton.
And Alton?
Yeah.
And who is Alton?
His brother, like our brother.
Okay, I got you. And so y'all went to Earl's, and when you got to Earl's, were you drinking?
Yeah.
All right. And what were y'all drinking that night?
Drank a little beer, a little Hennessy, and different things like that.
I got you. Do you recall where you went after Earl's?
We left Earl's and we went back to my house.
All right. And do you recall approximately what time that was?
We just about closed it down, so it was close to 2.
Okay. So so you leave Earl's, you go back to your house. Who drove?
I did.
Okay. So you were kind of the driver that night.
Yeah, I was drinking, but I wasn't on that level.
On that level.
Yeah.
Understood. Well, that's good to hear. So you get back to your house. What did y'all do then?
I was sitting there for a little bit, and then we decided that they were gonna leave and all that other stuff.
All right. When you were back at your house, anyone else there other than the three of you?
It was just,
Okay. And did y'all do more drinking while you were at your house?
we had a couple more. Yeah.
All right. And do you recall approximately how long you were there? About an hour? Or?
Say about 30 minutes to an hour, 45.
Okay, great. And then they went to leave. And then how did that go down?
They went to leave. I kind of feel maybe a little bit under my better judgment, but, they went to leave. I assumed that, they was okay.
Right.
And,
Now, in hindsight, you wish you would not have let them leave?
yeah.
Understood. And when they left, whose car were they in?
They was in, Cleveland Club.
All right. And when they left, do you recall who drove?
I was in the garden, because as they was going, I was, making sure that they was okay and all right. And, apparently, they wasn't.
I understand. And so the last time you saw them on the night of June 29th, 2019, they were in Cleveland's car, but Alton was driving.
Yeah.
I'll pass it.
Ms. Maxey, you may proceed.
Mr. Richardson, when they left your home that night, was that the last time you saw them that night?
Yeah.
So you weren't with them at all once they left?
Left for the night?
Left your home that night?
Yeah, no, I wasn't with.
Did you follow them that night?
I followed them outside to the door.
Did you follow them in your car?
Oh, no.
Is it possible that they stopped somewhere else? You don't know?
Yeah, I don't.
And how much had you had to drink that night, sir?
I had a couple, but I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't what I may consider myself intoxicated, because I knew I had to drive.
And once you got home, how much more did you have to drink?
We had a couple more, but like I said, I still wasn't to the level to where I was like passed out or black out or something like that.
Can you be drunk without being passed out?
Yeah, I mean, you could drink one drink and you could be over the legal limit, depending on your tolerance and your body type.
And once you've had as much to drink as you had that night, is it possible that your memory is fuzzy?
No.
You
'Cause
remember
I
everything perfectly?
I can distinctly tell the two. One is bigger than the other one. The other one has a big. Cleveland doesn't wear a big. I've been knowing both of them my whole life, so I could tell them all apart.
No, bro.
Okay. Ms. Maxey, may this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
Flora, okay. Okay, sir, you may be excused. And sir, make sure you under the rule. Well, he's not under the rule. Okay, you may be excused.
Defensive call, Alton Buxton.
Alton Buxton.
Defense exhibits.
Mr. Buxton, would you please raise your right hand and she will swear you in?
You do solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
This, he's gonna change that. so. Okay, you could adjust the mic to, yeah, we can hear you. Okay. Mr. Crenshaw, you may proceed.
Please state your name for the record, sir.
Alton Buxton Jr.
And Mr. Buxton, how are you today?
I'm a teacher, campus coordinator, head coach, also umpire.
For which school district?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
great.
also do a little contract work for Terrence.
Understood. And in this case, how are you related to the defendant?
Oh, that's my little brother.
I'd like to, I think you know why we're here, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's go back to the night in question, June 29th, 2019. At that time, where were you living?
I was living on Chase Street in Beaumont, still living there right now.
Still living there, all right. And who were y'all hanging out with that night?
Oh, Jay, well, but my brother's sister going on, we so grew up together, but we see each other brothers.
All right, and what's his name?
Justin Richards.
All right. Permission to approach her?
Yes, you may.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as defense exhibit.
Hey, Corey. If he's gonna take this exhibit, he needs to, have to give him some gloves.
Oh.
Yeah, do we have any in the back? Okay.
You don't have to touch it. I can just lay it in front.
Okay, if he doesn't
Is
have
that
to touch it, right.
I guess he might need gloves for the next exhibit, so.
Okay.
On gloves or?
Yeah, just,
Yeah, we're
just wait.
waiting.
He wants to look for something. So it's our COVID protocol.
All right, so we got you an extra large glove. All right.
Yeah,
All right, so I'm going to show you what's been marked as defense exhibit number 1. Do you know what this is?
Yeah, it's going from my brother's house, Jerry's house, and my house one.
Okay, but overall, what is this?
It's a map going from my house, from his house to my house.
Understood. And does this map accurately depict the area that y'all were driving and navigating on the night of June 29th, 2019?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that this map would be helpful to the jury in understanding where y'all were going, and where y'all ended up?
Explain, yeah.
Okay, great. At this time, Your Honor, I would tender defense exhibit number 1 to defense counsel. And ask to the state and ask them to be in.
No objection, Your Honor.
no objections. Defense exhibit number 1 will be admitted.
Will you help us with the map? You don't have to be overhead. We can just put it's on the computer. It's the map.
Was I'm taking out first on the campus.
The computer's not hooked up.
Okay, I do that.
Yes. Okay, the Zoom is still on though.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes,
Thank
you
you.
may.
Sorry. All right, Mr. Buxton, now we have the defense exhibit number 1 is there on display for the jury. Unfortunately, I cannot use the laser to point, but at the bottom of that exhibit, it says McLean Street. Is that where y'all started off that night?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Crenshaw, there's a pointer, right, a stick over there.
Oh, you
So
think I
it's
know
a-
my way
no,
around
no,
here a
it's-
little bit.
right there.
Okay, so can you tell, I'm sorry, can you turn around? Okay. All right. Can you tell the jury what McLean Street is?
I saw just now.
Okay, that's Justin's house,
Yeah,
and that's where y'all were that night?
yes.
All right, and then can you tell the jury what Chase Street is?
Oh, that's my house, my home, my location.
All right, and all right. So I think when we left off with you testifying, you said that you were with Justin that night and your brother, and y'all were at Justin's house. And at some point, did y'all leave this house?
Yes.
And where did, earlier in the night, at the beginning of the night, when y'all started drinking, where did y'all go?
Earl's name was Boris.
A bar?
Yeah.
Okay. And when the bar closed, did y'all head back to Justin's house?
Yeah,
And who was driving?
Justin.
All right. And y'all went back to his house on McLean Street?
Yes.
All right. And I think he testified the bar closed around 2 a.m. and y'all left and then went back to his house?
Yeah, we shut it down.
All right. And when you got back to his house, did you and Cleavon have more to drink when you got back to his?
Couple more things.
All right. And what were y'all drinking that night?
Man, I think Hennessy, yeah, with Hennessy.
Kvasse. Okay. And at some point, did y'all decide to leave?
Yeah, because I didn't want to get in trouble. I'm married. I had to get home, and it was,
Okay.
I realized it was late.
All right. And where were y'all headed?
We was headed to my house. We went on up McLean Street and stuff. And on the way to the house, what happened was that I didn't know we had construction going on that way. Then you try to turn that way with construction.
Okay. All right. Let's just back up a little bit. When you normally would go from McLean Street to your house, which way would you go?
I would take that way and go keep, I think it's Keith Road.
All right. And in the map, I'm going to show you what's marked as Keith Road. And is this that blue line that goes from here east over to Chase Street?
Yeah.
All right. And why do you take Keith Road instead of going down Major Drive?
Less stops.
Less stops?
Yes, less stops.
Okay, understood. And when you left that house on McLean Street, who was with you?
Oh, that's what book.
And who was driving?
Me.
And whose car were y'all driving?
I was taking.
Okay. Did you drive his car often?
Yeah, it blew. I kept him once or twice, but he was kind of particular about it.
Understood.
Yeah,
Understood.
understand. Back out the shop too.
All right. And is there a reason why you drove that night instead of him?
Okay, he stayed. He wasn't gonna drive.
All right.
Beginning of the night, he didn't drive,
All right.
and just me trying to get home because I didn't want to be in trouble.
Understood. And so you're headed home down Keith Road, and what happens?
Well, when I pulled go Keith Road, there's on traffic, and I turn around, try to turn, go back up the other street. I don't know the name of it. I think it's going toward Westbrook. Couldn't turn that way.
Okay.
So I don't know. I just veered, turned left, and started driving toward that way, hoping I could find another turn.
All right. Now, on Defense Exhibit 1, when you left McLean Street, did you travel in the blue direction?
Yes.
All right. And then when you got to Keith Road going north is how you plan on going home? And what happened at Keith Road that allowed you not to be able to make that route?
There was construction going on. The road was closed.
Okay, so Keith Road was closed.
Yeah.
So instead of turning around right there, you started going down Sour Lake Road?
Yeah, hoping I could catch another turn.
All right. At some point, did you get out of the vehicle?
Yeah, but it had to be restroom bad.
Okay. Who else was, got out of the vehicle? And so you both got out. What happened next?
Down out South Side Road, used restroom,
All right.
used restroom.
And then, at some point, did you decide that you weren't going to be able to drive?
Yeah, because I was, at that point, I didn't know where nobody was at.
All right. I want to show you what's been marked as defense exhibit number 2. Using your glove, do you recognize what defense exhibit number 2 is?
Yes, it's a phone bill.
Okay. Tell the jury, I'm sorry, on your phone bill, who is on your phone bill with you?
My brother, Michelle Services.
All right, but you actually get the bill every month?
Yes, I get the bill.
Okay. And is the bill in front of you a true and accurate depiction and copy of the bill that you received for phone calls placed on June 29th of 2019?
Yes, sir.
All right, and what service provider do you use?
Verizon.
Okay. And what is your brother's cell number?
It's a 617. I'm not sure on top of head. That's 617.
Okay, all right.
Object, Your Honor. Relevance.
The
Yeah,
relevance.
objection sustained. He asked me what his cell number is.
Okay, all right. At this time, Your Honor, I move to offer defense exhibit number 2 to the sixth.
Your Honor, at this point, the state's a little bit confused as to why we're even introducing a cell phone.
It has a cell phone records of phone calls that were placed that night.
And we're still objecting to relevancy because we're not seeing any relevancy here.
Well, it's relevant, Your Honor, because the defendant called his girlfriend to come pick him up.
I think, I mean, at this point, so you objecting to the introduction of the bill based on relevancy?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, well, would you like to develop your testimony? I would sustain the objection at this point.
Well, Your Honor, the cell phone records are relevant to show phone calls that were placed that night that are related to the time of this incident.
Okay, that's, so you would, I'm gonna sustain the objection I'm sustaining that objection at this point. I'll give you latitude to develop the testimony.
Okay. At some point while you were at the scene that night after y'all went to the bathroom, did Cleavon use the phone?
Yeah, he got on the phone.
Okay. And what was the purpose of his phone call without going into details about what was discussed?
Well, basically, he said he gonna call somebody to pick us up.
Okay. And how long did that phone call last?
I'm not sure. We got in the car, but we put the seats back and stuff. And he talked a few minutes, and when the seats was back, and I said, I dozed off.
You dozed off. Now, what's the next thing that you remember?
He woke up by the police.
All right. And when you say you dozed off, do you recall approximately how long y'all were asleep out there on that road?
I felt well rested.
You felt well rested when you woke up? So it'd be safe to say you were asleep for at least an hour? And when you were sleeping in the car, where were you in the car?
I got back in the passenger seat of the car.
All right. And where was Cleavon?
He's got in the drive seat, he sat down.
All right. And how were the seats when y'all got back into the vehicle?
And when the seats were laid, we all laid in the back.
All right. And y'all went to sleep?
Yeah, I think cracked the window and stuff.
All right. Pass the witness, sure.
Ms. Maxey, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Buxton, exactly how many drinks had you had that night at Earl's?
I wouldn't count.
Was it more than 5?
I don't think so. I had a couple beers of it, but I wouldn't count how many beers, probably just a couple of beers.
2 beers? At least?
I wouldn't count beers.
What about when you went back to Mr. Richardson's house? How many drinks did you have?
I took a nice shot, about 2 shots, couple shots.
2 shots? How long were you there?
It was probably, we shut it down like right around 2, probably like 30, 40 minutes. I just know I was trying to get in, take a couple shots and get home.
And you chose to get in the driver's seat that night, is that correct? You decided to go down Keith Road because there's less stops, is that correct? And how much traffic is there on Major Drive at that time of the morning?
It depends. Sometimes you get a lot, it depends. Sometimes I know the stoplights all the way through.
So there can be high
Yeah,
traffic at 4.
You got a train tracks to go across, which most time on this side, it stays down. You got the stoplight right there. They got another stoplight by Westport. They got another stoplight there. They got another stoplight, about at least 4 or 5 stoplights.
How long have you lived in the Beaumont area?
I left, came back most of my life.
And so when you left that night and Keith Road was under construction, excuse me, you didn't know your way around, even though you lived here most of your
Well,
entire life?
I don't go that way. We don't go south anyway that way. I go this way, go home, go to work if I did. But I never go that way, down the back road.
What you did that night?
Well, I go Keep Road, go straight across, it's my route to go home. I went fishing back there, so I know that route.
So you do know it?
No, that back route on Keep Road.
Okay.
I came from my house riding, it's canal back there.
Mr. Buxton, what actual evidence do you have that you were driving that night?
I mean, my word.
Okay, so you don't have any video evidence? You don't have any pictures? No actual evidence that you were the driver of the vehicle that night, do you?
No, I mean, we don't take pictures of me driving, selfies.
So you watched and stood by as your brother was arrested for driving while intoxicated, even though he wasn't the driver?
They arrested me first.
You sure about that?
Mhm.
And
I was in cuffs before him.
did you ever mention that you were the one driving and not him? No. When did you realize that, okay, what had you been arrested for that evening?
They told me a PI.
Okay, and did you plead guilty to that?
It's a no.
I'm sorry?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the relevance.
Your Honor, I'm just demonstrating of what went down that night.
I think he's trying to say no contest, Judge. Maybe he doesn't understand the significance of that, but
Okay.
that is what he.
Okay, I'll overrule your objection. You may proceed.
So when did you realize that you had been charged with public intoxication, but your brother had been charged with driving while intoxicated?
When we was in jail.
And did you ever try and correct that with the police that your brother wasn't driving, you were the driver?
They didn't tell me that.
Well, you
I
said you
thought-
found out that evening in jail.
Well, I found out in jail,
That
but I
morning.
mean, at that point, we trained going down. I never been in jail before. I'm sitting up sleeping on the floor. I even see students, parents, students walk in. I had the students come in tonight. And that's the first time I've been in jail. Never been in jail before, never had a handcuff put on. I mean, it's to the point that I'm CPI certified, that's crisis intervention, restraint. I dropped that course because I don't want to put, I don't want to lock kids up.
So this took place in 2019, is that correct? And so that's been over 2 years ago now, huh?
Yes.
And so you never
Your
made
Honor,
a,
can we approach?
It's, let me do this here. Yeah, I want to forward you.
Your Honor, I have emails.
Okay. Let me do this here. I have the jury step out. I have the jury step out.
No, it won't be that long. I have an objection to make to this line of questioning,
Okay.
and I don't want them to hear what I'm gonna have to say.
Well, that's why I wanted the jury to step out. So we just gonna have them step out in the hall and then,
Okay.
okay. At this time, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to ask that you follow the bailiff out into the hall. We have a matter that we need to handle outside your presence. You may be seated. Mr. Crenshaw?
Your Honor, my objection is that this line of questioning is a bit disingenuous, in my opinion, on behalf of the state. I have gone to the DA's office till I'm blue in the face about this case. I've talked to Pat Canal. I've talked to Bob Wortham. I've talked to numerous supervisors. I've talked to Ray Shearer about the fact that this man was the driver that night and that I thought that this prosecution should not proceed. And now they want to act like, well, the brother here was the driver that night, but no one's ever bothered to try to raise that issue.
Mr. Crenshaw, what is your objection?
My objection to this line of questioning, Your Honor, is that it's going to open the door to conversations that I've had with the DA's office. And I just don't think that it's something, and it's not relevant what he's done after the fact to try to relay this information to the DA's office. And it's leaving the impression, with a false impression with this jury, that we've come in here now at the last minute and thrown this on the state like they didn't know about it. When this is something that we've talked about on numerous times, that this man has pled guilty for PI and that he was the driver that night.
No contact.
So it goes to relevancy, and I think that it opens the door now to me being able to talk about all the conversations I've had with the DA's office about the fact that this man was the driver that night. And the fact that they said, well, we're sorry, we're just going to go on and proceed to trial with the Cleveland Bucks.
State, you have a response?
Your Honor, my questions are regarding Mr. Buxton's, if he ever went to the sheriff's office to file a report or something of that nature. And he had the opportunity to do that before Mr. Crenshaw was ever even hired. So there's plenty of opportunity. It goes to credibility, Your Honor.
Okay, now I'll overrule your objection. He has taken a witness stand. It is his credibility is at issue as a witness.
So
Now, let me do this here. I think the state, in terms of the line of questioning, I don't think you should go any further on that because you've already, I guess, got to the point of him not, he already stated that he had not gone to the police and you know, did anything like that. So I don't know if you really actually think about it, he didn't have a duty to do that in the first place.
it's also a violation of his Fifth Amendment. He doesn't have to go to the police and confess to a crime.
Well, that's true.
And he hired a lawyer. I was hired on the case. I represented Alton, and so both of us got in, but I got in first. And so what Mr. Crenshaw is saying is 100% accurate. You know, when you
I
hire a
know,
lawyer,
but I know that you just made that statement. Now, he never did make the objection that he had a Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination at the time that this line of questioning was given. Now, I will sustain your objection on the fact that he, at that point, was a defendant. Well, he was under the suspicions of committing a crime, so he did have a Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, okay? And so we should not go into any further question regarding that,
Yes, Your Honor.
okay? All right. However, you are allowed to go into questioning regarding his credibility, but not any questions that will violate his constitutional rights.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now let me do this here since we're at a point. Let's take a 5-minute recess.